if you want to record it, then doing it on Zoom, you get your own recording. That way you can load it to anywhere else that you want, other groups if you want, stuff like that. Whereas
Oh,
wherever you do a live, it's kind of stuck there. And unless a group or
you,
something is open to anybody, they can't see it otherwise.
of course. Or
So
you
I,
can save it and then repurpose it, but that would mean like you will have to do it like later, just you can save it and then put it in another.
yeah, but you have to switch formats and I do whatever's easiest technological wise, because otherwise I just won't get to it because I cry. So I'm so grateful that you were willing to come on and do this.
Oh, thank you.
This is Francisca. How do you say your last name? Garces?
Perfect. Garces. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Garces.
more like the accent towards the, yeah, Garces. Yeah.
Ah, awesome. Well, we just met recently and we found out that we're both musicians. We both sing and play piano, and talking a little bit about you pursuing this as your career and what you're doing. But you also have your hand in the marketing world because that's something else that you have discovered that you love. And so I
Yeah.
think this is a great venue to be, sharing what you do in our group, because there's so many people in here who are multifaceted and they're doing multiple things, but what we want to talk about most is you and your voice, and how you make that work for you. So tell everybody a little bit about you and your style and the music and all that stuff.
Yeah. Hi. First of all, yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so glad I'm having the opportunity to network with a lot of amazing people, like such as you. And yeah, so my name's Francisca, and my last name is that because I'm Latin American. I'm from Ecuador, from South America. So yeah, I'm at this moment I'm quarantining here in my city in Guayaquil. But yeah, so I understand that. I know that there are a lot of multi-passionate people, and the ones that appear as they're doing like just one thing on social media, I don't think so. I think they do a lot of things as well, but maybe they sometimes prefer to show just one side of them to promote what they do or their business. They choose to promote themselves as with a certain image, certain brand persona, as opposed to several.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely I'm pursuing, so I've always had this musical background since I was like a baby, a little girl. I always sung. And funnily enough, it was always easier for me to learn songs in English rather than Spanish, even though Spanish is my native language. But I was always, inclined to learning a lot of, songs like from British invasion bands, the Beatles, and a lot of English songs. And I studied music for many years, classical piano, singing lessons as I was 12. And then I always loved to perform on the stage in different venues. But when I entered university, I kind of like studied. Yes, I did study music, but not only music, I also studied translation, which is languages as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, you and I are so similar. When I started out in university, that's what I was doing too. I was
Oh,
a
really?
major in French, a minor in Italian, with the intention of getting into translation. And then my heart
My
just called
God, I
for
never,
performance.
I
Yeah.
didn't know. Oh my God, Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I like, I would say like my main passions are languages, music, and like, I'm not gonna lie to say that, I've always been into social media and digital marketing. First of all, when I was like, well, I don't know how old you think I am, because I'm like really, I seem like really, really young,
You
but I don't
do.
know. I'm 27. I mean, people
Okay.
think sometimes I'm
Compared to
19.
me, you're young.
I, I mean, but I tell you this because sometimes people think that I'm like way younger. But anyway,
You do look like a teenager, I will admit, but I'm a really bad guess. Like I'm a really bad what's the
guesser,
word?
like,
Yeah, like
yeah,
I'm not good with age. Like I'd
yeah.
be terrible as a bouncer, right?
Okay.
Checking ID. I'd like, oh.
Well, anyway, I mean, probably with me, whether you're terrible or not, probably you wouldn't let me in either way because you wouldn't let me anyway, either way. But anyway, so I so yeah, I mean, I had this background, and like social media was just a result of like the outbreak, which is not long ago. I mean,
Yeah.
before that, I was kind of like, you know, into Instagram and everything, but then I became very passionate because it was actually what allows us to connect worldwide. And I'm you know, a very intercultural, you know, international person. I mean, I like conduct myself, my social media in English and everything, because I just, you know, that's just the way I like it to be, and I feel I can reach much more people, much many more people that way. So so yeah, I have many backgrounds, but and it is hard. It is hard. I'm not gonna say, you know, it is hard because that makes it more difficult to find your own voice as a you know, as an entrepreneur, and as to what you want to, you know, what you want to do is in terms of like whether it's a hobby or it's like profitable. I mean, it's just it's a lot, but I have to say that consistency is key, and you have to learn to prioritize stuff.
Absolutely. And that's really great point to make. Consistency is key. Keep showing up. It
Yes.
may feel like nobody's watching or nobody's listening,
uh,
but just know someone somewhere is.
yeah.
And that is really the key, right? It's persistence and keep showing up even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, and I'm not perfect at it at all. I mean, I'm just starting to show more lights, because when I first started posting on social media, it was all just content that I recorded, you know. Because
Yeah.
I'm not, even if I've performed since I was little and everything, it's not like I can go, oh, live and just talk for. It's, you know, it's still like a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So it's not like you see someone and you say, oh my gosh, she's just so comfortable. No, it's not like that. You know, everyone, you know, has its side, and it takes like consistency. And ultimately because you're in a home, you feel like in your comfort zone. So that makes it a lot harder. So I
Yeah.
just congratulate people that just show up, okay? And you never know who's listening. Today I was listening to someone that's just amazing, and that treats people who suffer from like COD or you know, mental health issues. And she was sharing her story, and that came in a time where I was feeling like really overwhelmed. And when I tuned in her live, it was just me, and she was talking, and it was just me, and she said just what I need to hear at that moment, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, you just, you know, have to do it.
Yeah, you never know where that bit of inspiration is going to come, or that you're going to give someone else, which
Yeah.
I think is so important when we talk about music too, because like you said, it's kind of a universal language. It's something that we all share, we all understand, regardless of what language the lyrics are in. And this is what I tell when I used to teach piano, is I would say to my students, what you're seeing here is what everybody looks at. This music, all this notation has been created for the purpose that we all read the same map. It's the same roadmap. It's, you know, it's the same language which tells us how to play these songs. And there's just something that is so soulful. It really hits people
That
in
is
this
very
visceral
beautiful.
place.
Yeah. Just today, and maybe you're gonna laugh a little bit about this, but just today I had like this song, this boom song that everyone's been listening, and I took like weeks until I listened to it because for some reason. But I was listening to you know, Driver's License like on repeat, and I couldn't stop listening to it because it's just so inspiring. I don't know. I don't know. I was just maybe like a little bit on that mood. Who knows? I don't know, but it's just amazing, and it's really universal. It is.
Absolutely. Right. And sometimes, you know, we need music and it evokes different emotions for what we need, whether it's comfort, support, happiness, rage, anger, to get those emotions out. It's just, it's such a healthy outlet
It
in
is.
so many ways.
And it
So
doesn't cost anything. I mean, you just, you know, listen to it, and it's just, you know, it's the easiest thing ever, you know.
yeah, for sure. So tell us about your style of music. Like what is you when we hear it?
Well, okay, so I, for a long time I was training classical music, but I always, when I played piano, it was always more classical. But when I sang, I didn't sing classical, but it was more like modern. It was more towards like the pop, the soft pop side, and musicals. I always loved musicals, and the interpreting side of it, I always loved.
Me
I am
too.
like obsessed with musicals. I'm
Me
obsessed,
too.
particularly the ones, on my own from Les Miserables.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, those are the ones, I think, the first ones that I just, putting my Instagram as a cover, because like I say, many years I spent not like doing this, because I was busy with like with my other career, with my translation stuff. And I just hid for the longest time, and then like in the outbreak, like many years after, I just reconnected with all, and I'm just like, this cannot happen. I mean, this is just my essence, and whether it makes me comfortable, uncomfortable, I just have to do something with this, because otherwise it's just, a gift that you just waste. That's
Yes.
my point of view. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, I'm amazed at what I've done this month. With sometimes it just feels like you just are not accomplishing things, but you just have to, fix yourself into the small steps,
Yes. Yep.
um I began in like social media, and then like months after, I wasn't I so I write as well, because as a translator I'm like a natural writer, and so I've always written a lot in English and everything. And then it just, and I always sang, but I'm not gonna lie and say that I write since I'm like 14, 15. No, I'm not gonna say that. No, it's a lie. It would be a lie.
Right.
But I did manage to write my original songs. I just started to, to set my mind into it. And so through Instagram I was contacted by, some producers, talented producers, that wants to collaborate. And that's how it was born, because I put myself out there, because I put myself out there and I worked with what I had, and I felt like, no, it's just the time. Whether you're like, 16, 17, like Olivia Rodrigo, who's insanely talented, or whether you're like 27 or 30 or 40, whatever. I mean, you always can have your original music, and
Yeah.
it's just going to be there forever. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And putting yourself out there works. Like, not that I'm actually quite ashamed that I'm using this as an example, but Justin Bieber comes to mind, because how he was seen was because he was putting his stuff on YouTube.
I don't think you need
And
to be. I think he's an excellent. I think he's an excellent musician, to be honest. I mean, I think he
I
has.
will give him value, but you know what? His reputation is such that, people find it questionable, and it's not music that I listen to, but as a Canadian, I
Yeah.
could, give a shout out to a fellow Canadian.
Woo.
But
No, he's really talented. I mean, I haven't, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't read a lot, of his story. I mean, I know him like on the source. I mean, I don't know him obviously, but I mean, like, I think he's like really talented, and I think he's done great work. And I'm not gonna lie and say that I have. I mean, I have listened to his songs, and they're pretty great. And they're like kind of like, many people just, listen to a lot of independent music, and I have, but I just don't have. I think if it's a good song, whether it belongs to any gender, I just listen to it, and that's it.
well, yeah, and that's the thing. And he did a lot right, because look at his career, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
it's because he decided to put himself out there.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's vulnerable. People are gonna, make comments, and people could say hurtful things. And I mean, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's just that's the part that's hard. As long as you just don't fixate on the negative comments, and actually, there's this girl on Instagram that's called, I think, Maddie Bailey, or her last name is Bailey, and she's actually very popular on YouTube and everything. And she actually converts songs like from negative comments. You have to see it. It's just amazing. She takes
Ah,
negative comments and she turns them into a song. So
oh my
like
God,
the
I love
negative comments that she receives and everything, she turns it into a song, and people love it. And that for me, it's amazing. It's very authentic. And she gets a lot, and you would think, why would anyone write that if she's like really talented? But everyone gets it, and
Yeah.
it's difficult. Social media definitely has its disadvantages, but you just have to know how to use it in the right way, and not get just discouraged by whether you have this amount of followers or that amount of followers, because that's the thing. That's like another huge thing on
Yeah.
social media. It's not easy to grow. I mean, it depends on your impact. Location wise, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, I guess that also for me it's a bit hard, because I'm just pointing at a market that I don't live in that market. So but like you say, people listen to, it's universal. So as long as you do what you feel, I think it's okay.
Well, and that's the thing. Not every person is going to be your person or your audience, and that's
Yeah,
okay. But
yeah, of
you
course.
just keep being you, stay authentic, and do what you love and put it out there, and those people will gravitate to you, right? That's all part of marketing as well.
Yes,
Speak to
yes,
your
yes.
people, speak authentically, be genuine, and your ideal people will come to you, will find you, and will stay with you.
Yeah, at first, like, yeah, I always thought that way. I think it's a little bit harder, and commercially always have to as well, um please people, because in marketing and business wise, you do have to listen to what people want, and because of like comments and stuff like that. But you have to keep a balance, because if you adapt to something that you don't, it's not going to be, it's just, there has to be a balance.
Yeah, for sure. So you have some exciting things coming up, like
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. I
Tell us
have
about that.
Yeah, I have a digital show tomorrow. It's kind of embarrassing, to do it just now. I mean, I have promoted, like, I had recently a radio interview with like another contact that I found on Facebook, which was exciting. So I promoted it there, and I have been promoting a bunch of stuff. But I try not to get too saturated with social media, because I also deal with social media, and in my work in the morning. So I try to just not, I'm like doing everything by myself. It's not like I have someone that that posts or something. So sometimes it's a bit hard to just keep in being in just posting like 1,000 times or something, which is not something that you should do. I mean, it's better quality than quantity. If you don't
Yeah,
have to put 1,000 of posts
yeah,
every time, but you have to try, especially if you have something coming up, you have to try to do it a lot. But so I thank you for this opportunity. But yeah, I do have a digital show tomorrow at 12. Well, it's a 12 my time. So it's obviously, yeah, your time. It's just, I work with a lot of people in the UK. So it's just, I'm used to
I
thinking
know.
like 12, 12 here, and then 5 p.m., in the UK. So that's why I always say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll be singing. It's like a post Valentine's Day show, because the date was set to be on the 20th. So that's why I'm saying, calling it now post Valentine, not a Valentine's Day. And I am going to announce the name of my single, because my single is coming up in a few weeks, and I already have the date, but I cannot say it until tomorrow. So
Oh,
yeah, I cannot say until tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm gonna say it like at the end of the show, and hopefully people will wanna listen, and so that I can share like some joy of this difficult time that is the lockdown.
yes, yeah, absolutely. Now, tomorrow, when you announce this song that's coming out, are you allowed to perform the song at your concert? Or is
Not
it
yet.
like nothing until that date?
No, I'm just gonna say, reveal the name, and then talk about the release date, and then little by little, I'm just gonna drop like maybe a few. Just I'm gonna do lives into expressing how the creative process was, and also because I think in my interest, a lot of people that just are not writing original music now, so they know that it's that if you really mind into it, and if you get the right people to work with, you can do it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk about the creative process, and as well how it was born and what it's about. I mean, I've already revealed that it's about love in my social media. It is, it is, but I mean, it's more than it. But yeah, and that I'm just gonna put little snippets on social media about the audio, but I cannot perform it yet. No.
But I love that because you get to announce it, and it's kind of like the carrot you get to dangle and say,
Yeah.
here's a tree, but I can't give it to you yet.
Yeah, that's what
But stay
marketing is
with
all about.
me.
You have
Yeah,
to know the tricks. Yeah,
for
you have
sure.
to know
I
the numbers.
have a client that I work with. She's younger, and one of her school projects is to create something from scratch. And she needed
Okay.
a mentor, so she asked me to do it.
Yeah.
And he has to write a song. Or that's what she has chosen to do. She doesn't have to, but she
Okay.
wants to write, and she loves music. She loves performing and all that. So definitely hearing your process, I think, would be good for her to listen to. So I'm going to
Oh, that would be
recommend it to her.
amazing. And also,
Yeah,
you know what? Also, I'm gonna leave like my handles and everything so that she can contact me and everything. It would be
yeah,
really great.
do that for sure. Well,
Yeah.
especially because there'll be people here in the group who may be interested to have a listen, or want to escape and see what kind of music you're doing and enjoy that
Yes,
kind of outlet. So I
definitely. We're
think
gonna
that's
share
great.
my social media links and everything so that you can follow and get a glimpse
Amazing.
into into everything.
So, we'll wrap up soon, but there's a question I wanted to talk to you about in terms of how do you prepare vocally for your performance? Because a lot of what I do is teaching people how to use their voice properly, how to keep it healthy, because that's not general knowledge. And I hear so much that is not right out in the industry, and it makes me cringe because uh, just there's some vocal damage happening. Tony Robbins. Um, so, how do you prepare your voice for doing, these concerts where you're singing for a period of time? It's
Yeah.
not just a song. What's your process?
Well, first of all, I just out of curiosity, I wanted to hear like what it is that makes you cringe about the things that you've heard.
I can hear vocal damage. So when I hear like this, usually it's a raspiness, and it's almost a difficulty. It's very breathy sounding voice, because it is quite literally, there's a node that's usually sitting on the vocal folds, and
Yeah.
somebody is having to push more air to get more sound out, to get those vocal folds to vibrate. But if there's a nodule sitting on it, it needs more air, but it doesn't produce the sound, right? It would be like having a glob of glue stuck to a violin string, right?
Okay.
It's going to vibrate, but there's something on it that isn't allowing it to vibrate like it should. And so I can hear that when I hear people singing or speaking, and it's like nails down a chalkboard for me, because it's almost like I can hear the vocal cords tearing. Or even like, this was the hardest thing when I was a teacher, being outside at recess and listening to kids scream, because
Oh.
they get excited and they scream and they yell at each other.
Yeah.
And it was like somebody was like uh, stabbing my eardrums.
Oh yeah, I
Just
get it. I
because,
have a little niece and nephew. They get. She likes to sing, and she likes to sing music from Coco. You know the film, the
yeah,
film
yeah,
Coco. It's amazing, and
yeah.
she sings it in Spanish and everything. But
Oh,
because she's like 2, she's gonna turn 3. She was usually small, but she's really smart and everything and beautiful. And she starts singing. She because she has not her voice educated yet. She just screams. So I'm like, oh, just do the voice.
yes, yes. And I
Or
mean,
with
when
the
they're
piano,
young,
they're little and they start doing the piano like that, and I have to say, oh poor piano, just treat it gently.
I say that too. I'm like, are you
Oh,
angry
yeah.
at the piano?
I
Why
mean,
are
I say it
you
in
banging it?
Spanish, but I
Yeah.
say it in Spanish, obviously, but yeah, 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 I
Yeah,
get it.
no, there's
Um,
so much that can happen. And because I'm so big on vocal health, that's a big philosophy
yes,
anytime I teach.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so that's what I worry about. So I like to ask people who are singers and musicians what
yeah,
they do to prepare to make sure that they're warmed up. Sadly, some people don't, and they don't prepare, which is
yeah,
why I always give them a little bit of a lecture on
yeah.
preserving their instrument.
So I'm not, I'm not a coach, so I'm not as specialized as you. But obviously, because I'm a singer, I sing, and I have studied it since I was 12. And of course, in everything you do, you always have to have theory and science, and how all this works, even if it's a little bit or in depth, whatever. But you have to know something, right? Because it's your own instrument, and it's
Right.
just
Yep.
much more delicate than any other instrument. So what I do is that I always warm up. I warm up. I always warm up, because not you can hurt your
Yep.
vocal cords. In fact, there were times when I haven't had much time, and it's not because of a presentation, but maybe I just want to like spontaneously sing because I love it, and it's just okay. So I sing, but for example, if I haven't warmed up properly and I start singing, even if it's just a line or something, I feel like it's not the same as if I have warmed up. Especially if you're trying to engage in more, in higher notes.
Yeah.
Like you engage in higher notes, and then you feel, oh my god, no, I should have warmed up, because I'm not feeling like the same. You start feeling scratchy, and if you start feeling scratchy vocals, it is because you haven't, first of all, your diaphragm as well,
Yes.
and you haven't drunk a lot of liquids, a lot of water. I mean, I do drink a lot of water, and I do. So I follow. I don't know if you've listened to, and I don't know what you think about this, because many vocal coaches actually don't like this, because they feel like universal methods don't work, and it's best to get your own coach. And I agree with it, but because we are, in like lockdown, and it's sometimes, or maybe the budget or lockdown or whatever it is, many people have turned into the Cheryl Porter vocal method. I don't know what you think about it, but I'm gonna say that I have tried it. And
Yeah.
I do like her warm-ups, and I do like it. And I feel like it's always better if you combine it with personal advice. But I do her warm-ups, and it's really, and I can see like a lot of improvement and everything. So I use that. I mean, it doesn't have to be like an hour. It shouldn't
No,
be an hour, actually.
no,
I mean, it
no.
has to be like maybe 15 minutes, or at least something, something, because otherwise you're gonna do the damage.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean that I always like warm up at least 15, and then now I'm doing trainings on like each section of the voice, right? Like the chest voice, and now I'm like training on the head voice, because how this trainings work is that you have like a week training, for example, chest voice. So you engage in some exercises, and you choose a song appropriate to your vocal range,
Yep.
and you practice it. So I'm now doing that, like the head voice with the exercises.
Okay.
So that in the long run you can see like improvement, and
Yeah.
and that helps me a lot, because sometimes I don't really have long hours to just prepare the whole show, but because it's songs that I've sung a lot of times, and I'm confident now, so that I can say, okay, at least I'm doing these warm-ups, and then I know that I'll be ready, because I've already put in the work into my breathing, and my diaphragm exercises, because you have to have the support and everything. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just got excited and talk a little bit
Yeah,
too
no, this is exactly it. You're speaking my language, lady.
much.
Yes.
I'm glad, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm just gonna murder. I'm not a vocal coach. I'm like, oh my god, all this technical language. I'm like, ooh,
Oh,
where do
no,
I
no, this is
hide?
exactly it, right? And this is what people don't realize, that and not just singing, speaking, when especially when you are speaking in front of an audience, like if you're
Yeah,
doing something, a speaking engagement where you are speaking in a large room with a lot of
yeah,
people, there is technique involved. It's not just open your mouth and
it
speak.
is. Yeah, yeah,
And those who do that, generally, they're either difficult to hear, they talk too fast, right? There's all these things that can be improved on. But the thing is, what most people don't understand is your whole body essentially is involved in whatever performance it is that you're doing,
Yeah, of course.
whether it's a speech or a song or, you know, a show
Yeah,
on
it
stage.
is. It is. Yeah, and actually talking a lot. I now that you're talking about this, I remember like before when I wasn't as consistent, you know, with the like the training, because you have times in which, because you're, you know, busy with other stuff, you just maybe like stop training for a bit. I mean, it's normal, like when you exercise and everything, it's not like all the time you're going to be just 100%.
Yeah.
So or at least, you know, if you're like because you're human, right? Because if you're like a machine, okay, all perfect all the time, but I don't think that's a reality. So so yeah, when you do train, you remember that when I wasn't training and I talked a lot, then I certainly realized that my voice was kind of scratchy, and that was because I wasn't like training enough. And now I can sing for a lot of time, I can talk for a lot of time, because I'm trained. I can actually hear my voice clear, and I feel like I'm not using my throat as much, but I'm actually using, you know, like that technique, which is a bit hard to explain, but you
Yeah.
do get it once you put in the work.
Yes, absolutely. And you can totally feel once you start understanding
Yeah.
how the voice works, you can start to feel when something's off or
Yes.
something's
Yes.
not working the way it
You
should,
feel. It
right?
depends
It's
on
just
the
the
day as
same of
well.
anything else. You do yoga and you start to recognize when, I don't think that's how that's supposed to go, right? You start feeling maybe you've hurt something or you've done it wrong because you're building up the muscle memory, and when it doesn't happen the way it should, your body goes, nope, that's wrong.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. Yes. Yeah, you're totally right.
Awesome. Well, thank you for for
I think I was gonna say
validating
something,
what
then
I
all of
teach.
a sudden I like clouded, and I'm so sorry about that.
No, that's okay. No, I appreciate all that you said. I think that this is so amazing to speak to somebody else. One, we kind of said, oh, we're both musicians. We both sing and play piano. We're
And I
like,
didn't know
oh,
about your background in languages. That's amazing.
right? Oh my gosh. So yeah, we have a lot more in common than even we had first imagined, which,
Yeah,
you
true.
know, I think the universe brings people together for a
Yeah,
purpose. And we definitely were meant to connect because we kind of live parallel lives. I'm just older than you. Uh,
definitely.
I did it before you. So good luck with your concert tomorrow. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to hear about this release date for your
Thank you.
song, and I definitely want to connect my one client to have a listen, because I know she would love to hear your process and how you came to put that together, because it's
Yeah.
exciting when you start sharing your own music, your own
Yeah.
vision for what
I mean,
that
I
is.
try not to like think much about it, because otherwise it's like it gets a little bit like nerve-wracking, right? Like
Of
nerves and
course.
stuff. But I try just to, you know, like just put it out there, and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, it's kind of like letting somebody read your diary.
Oh my God. Now that I don't even
Okay.
say it.
No, it's not like that. Uh, but I'm sure it's going to be spectacular, and I'm so excited to
Thanks.
hear how it goes. So make sure to put the links in the post so that
Yeah.
people can find you, and keep us posted. Let us know how things went. Let us know where things are going, and keep us informed of what's next.
Yes, yes, of course. Yeah, I'll be sharing like I'll be sharing like more lives and stuff, and commit to more lives, because honestly, I just, love sharing value, but sometimes it's just you get all starts with the mindset, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and a life just it's just it's a bit like you have to show up. I mean, it's just that. But I think many people could be doing like more lives, but they're just afraid, of like showing to people. But I think like when you have someone to talk to, it's much easier than doing it alone. That's what I
Yes.
think.
Yeah, and that's what I do when I work with people is I teach them how to make that happen on video, because it can feel very isolating, and people get that
It is,
sort
yeah,
of
it can.
deer in headlights look when the camera's on, because they're like, but blah, I don't know where to look, I don't know what to say, and all of a sudden, your heart starts to race and the nervousness happens. So that's all stuff that I deal with when I'm working with people, because
Oh,
it is
amazing.
a whole different world,
Yeah.
the online versus the live. Both are effective, we just have to learn how and find our place in it. So
Yeah, and we have like more than established that things are way more digital now, and I, even if it, hopefully will be like over soon and everything, like with the vaccination. Even if that happens, I think like life has already changed, and
yeah.
people, I think, are gonna still do this a lot, so we might as well adapt and be prepared and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah,
it's wonderful because it brings people together from
yeah,
all over
I
the
love
world.
it.
Yeah, yeah. When you can embrace it, it can be frustrating, absolutely. But I have made some amazing friends that I have not met in person yet, but I speak to every day.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I talked to a lot of friends because I did a master's like in England like a year ago. So I met a lot of friends that I then had to say goodbye to. And I was hoping to meet by this time, but I cannot, travel because of the situation. But yeah, I always talk to them, and it's just, even if you don't see each other, just, the connection just stays there, and it's amazing. So shout
Yeah,
out
for
to
sure.
them as well, if there's if
Yeah,
they're
awesome. I love it. Yes, for sure. Well, this has been great. Break a leg
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes, we don't say good luck, we say break a leg.
Yeah.
That's a story for another live, because people always ask me, what does that even mean? So there'll be a live coming up on what does break a leg mean. Um, so
Yeah, we
yeah, keep us posted
should.
and put those links in the post.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to everyone.